There was a study that found anxiety among young adults has increased dramatically over the past 2 decades, while resilience and confidence have declined. Many experts believe one of the contributing factors isn't that parents love too little, but sometimes we protect too much. Confidence does not come from someone constantly telling you that you're amazing. Confidence comes from surviving something you weren't sure you could survive. It comes from trying and failing, trying again, and then figuring it out. That's true leadership. It's true in business, it's true in healing, and it's absolutely true in parenting. One of the greatest gifts we can give the people we love is the opportunity to become who they were created to be, even if that journey includes a bit of struggle. Because struggle isn't always the enemy, sometimes struggle is the teacher.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
All right, disruptors, let me ask you something. When did love become doing everything for someone? Like, no, seriously. When did we start believing that the more we rescue people, the more we love them? Because somewhere along the way, we've confused support with saving. We've become that generation that clears every obstacle, solves every problem, answers every text immediately, negotiates every conflict, and somehow calls that good parenting? But here's the question. If we're always carrying our children, when do they learn they can carry themselves? There was a study that found anxiety among young adults has increased dramatically over the past 2 decades, while resilience and confidence have declined. Many experts believe one of the contributing factors isn't that parents love too little, but sometimes we protect too much. Confidence does not come from someone constantly telling you that you're amazing. Confidence comes from surviving something you weren't sure you could survive. It comes from trying and failing, trying again, and then figuring it out. That's true leadership. It's true in business, it's true in healing, and it's absolutely true in parenting. Today's conversation isn't really about raising teenagers. It's about raising adults. It's about learning that one of the greatest gifts we can give the people we love is the opportunity to become who they were created to be, even if that journey includes a bit of struggle. Because struggle isn't always the enemy. Sometimes struggle is the teacher. Welcome back, Disruptors. If you're just joining us today, I am talking with parenting confidence coach Randi Crawford. And have to tell you, this conversation has challenged so many of what's become a norm. And I know this is just not about parenting. No, it's also about leadership. I mentioned that earlier. And it's about relationships. It's about business. It's about all of us. Every leader eventually has to answer the same question. Am I developing people or am I making them dependent on me? And honestly, that's the question every parent should ask too. So let's jump back in. Randi, there's one word that makes people uncomfortable, and that's enabling. Nobody wants to believe they're doing it. So help us understand, where is the line between being helpful and enabling our children? Is that actually really altogether what's really holding us back or holding them back?
I like that question a lot because I'll tell you, for me, so I've kind of come up with this little 5-point system that I call Get a Grip in this book. So I've written a book for parents and it's called the Pickleball Parenting Playbook. It's not out yet. But what I did is I used all pickleball metaphors to help parents understand, because when I learned how to play the sport, I was like, not only do you learn everything on the pickleball court that translates into good parenting, but if you were to be really like on the nose with it, getting out and playing pickleball is a great way to not be lonely and to meet people and to, IRL, in real life, be with people,
Yeah.
get exercise,
Yeah.
get sun, laugh. It just really checks all the boxes. And what you're talking about right now is, so I like to say to parents, don't poach your kids' shots. So when you poach their shot, it's when you see that ball and it's so easy for you to just jump in and take it when it's for them. But the whole goal is to not poach their shot and to let that. So how do you know? And you just asked how you know. It's a very simple question that you ask when your child explains to you a problem and
Mm.
they lay it out for you and you listen. By the way, these are part of the steps and they sound so much easier. Like I'm talking through it really quickly. But a parent never just listens to their kid. They listen to fix. Because as a parent, we're always focused on the outcome. And therefore, the minute they start telling us something, we start like our wheels are turning and we try and figure out, how can I fix this for them? How can I make this a really good outcome for them? Rather than just really listening. So let's assume we've gotten through that step and we give them the floor and they fully lay out the issue. What we have to do is ask them, did you want to vent? Did you just want me to hear that? Or do you want me to support you and help you work through how you're going to deal with this? Because so you have to ask them what they want from you, right? You don't jump in and you don't fix it. But if they're telling you anything that has to do with harming themselves, harming someone else, anything, getting bullied, any of those big ones that we're talking about, you're obviously, as a parent, going to want to step in. Anything else. And I don't care. I'll tell you an interesting one. When your kid is in high school, here's a great example. Their grades actually matter. Meaning, if they get all A's in 1B, or all A's, I should say, in 1C, believe it or not, that C can really, really drag down their GPA. Now, you have a choice, right? As a parent, you're like, my kid is in that biology class, and I don't see them really spending much time on it or working really hard on it. And I know that they've got all these great grades, but if they get this C, it's going to bring down their GPA so much, it's going to make it impossible for them to get into XYZ college. But here's my question. Who's the one that wants to go to that college, and what do they have to do to get into that college? So you might say to yourself, no, this is one of those things where I have to jump in. Because if I don't jump in, this is going to literally screw up their entire GPA. But do you? Do you really? How much does your kid want to get into XYZ college? So as the parent in that situation, you can have the conversation with them if you start to see that grade slipping and say, listen, let's talk about this because this is what could happen. But not, I'm going to jump in and I'm calling the teacher because I got to get you extra credit because there's no way if you don't make an error, at least a B, you're totally, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So you have to just take a deep breath, do a reset, and then figure out whether or not it's something that you need to jump in because they are in harm, or it's something they can figure out and then ask them what they need from you. That's how I talk to parents.
I love the reframe. I love it. I think it's so important because enabling rarely ever looks malicious. It often looks like love. But our children have never had to advocate for themselves, then they won't never know how to do it. And there we have someone who just feels incompetent in their own selves. So let's talk about it reminds me of something I've always believed. We don't prepare the road for our children. We prepare our children for the road. Those are two very, very, very different mindsets. So let's talk about why parents rescue. Let's go a little bit deeper. Why do we rescue? What's happening with us? Is it really because our kids need us, or is it because we need to feel needed? What is your
Well,
take?
first of all, it's because we need to feel needed, and also because a lot of times we parent and we operate from a place of fear. So, again, if I were to go back to really what I consider the first step in trying to figure out the problem, I was always taught growing up that the way you win an argument is by how you define the argument. And I think it's the same with parenting. The way you understand the problem is by the way you let your child articulate the problem to you. So once you see, because a lot of times your kid might come to you, listen, it's usually not a calm conversation like we're having right now, right? If your teenager with all their hormones and all the things going on in their life right now comes at you with an issue, they're generally amped. Now you're generally amped. And it's a very, very intensely emotional, highly amped conversation, right? And now in your mind as the parent, you're creating a narrative. Like they start to tell you something, and before you let them finish, we've created this whole narrative, and now we're scared to death. Oh no, they're not going to get into the class. They're not going to make the team. They're not going to get the boyfriend. They're not going to get into college. They're not going to get the job. Whatever it is, this is the narrative that we create before we've really listened and understood what the situation is. And so it's so important that we have good communication with our kids. And I cannot emphasize enough how hard that is, because I can tell you how much I made mistakes all the time when my kids were in high school. And the number one thing my son would literally, in the middle of a screaming match, his favorite thing to say to me was, "Stop interrupting me." And I remember these fights, and I would say to him, "I know what you're going to say." And because in my mind, like, we're going to have the same conversation, the same argument. I'm going to be angry. But I'm telling you, it's like switching a light switch that quickly. The minute that I gave him the floor, and I would be like, "Okay, you tell me everything. Tell me everything." And I was quiet, and my phone was away, and I wasn't distracted. And all of a sudden, they're caught off guard. They're like, "Wait a minute. So she's going to listen to my whole situation." And then they get it all out. All of a sudden, it's like you have just leveled the playing field. And now you're able to have an actual conversation with your child. When people ask me, like, how long does the shift take for you to start having good communication? I'm like, it's immediate when you start listening to your child and you stop interrupting them and you stop creating the narrative that you think that you hear, and you stop being so tied to the outcome, and you just let them talk to you, and then you let them tell you what you need. So a lot of this is about the mindset that you have going into that conversation, which is, I'm going to say, "Tell me everything," and then I'm going to zip it. And here I am. I'm here for you.
We'll be back after a quick break.
And now an exciting growth opportunity for you.
Hey, Mindset Mastery Moments family. I'm Dr. Kareem Ellis. And if you've been listening to Dr. Lisa, chances are you already know you have a message, a purpose, or an expertise that can make a real difference. The question is, are you positioning yourself and that message in a way that creates impact and greater income? You see, that's exactly what I'm going to be teaching in my free live masterclass titled "Why Talented Speakers Stay Broke." I'm going to show you the biggest mistakes talented speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs, and leaders make, and more importantly, how you can avoid it. I'd love for you to join me. Simply visit the gpsspeakersacademy.com/free class to reserve your free seat. And if you are listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, don't worry one bit. The registration link is waiting for you in the episode description. Thank you, Dr. Alisa Whyte, for allowing me to serve your amazing community. And to all the rest of my peeps out there, I can't wait to see you in class.
Ooh, now that's the conversation, because sometimes our own identity gets wrapped up in being that fixer, that helper, that rescuer, that problem solver. And if our children stop needing us, we're forced to rediscover ourselves. And for a lot of us, that's scary. And that's why, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, for my single girlies, single parents, you may want to tap into this narrative and this conversation and what happens behind the scenes with Randi when she's not here, who she's working with. You might want to, because if you can master that level of communication with your child, you won't be trying to fix grown men. You won't be the one doing all the work in the relationship and then complaining when you get married to that person. Why did I ever? Because we bring that over to our other relationships. A lot of times that fixer, rescuer, problem solver attitude, behavior in the home with our kiddos, we take it to work and we take it in our romantic relationships. I'm just going to leave that there. Just going to leave that there. I'll step back from the mic. Maybe Randi wants to say something about that, but I know this is not a relationship episode, but trust me, it seeps over. Randi, you got something to add to that?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to be silent just to give that the pregnant pause that it needed, because there is so much to be said, right, about the relationship between moms and sons. And I'm learning that on my Instagram account as we speak, the amount of people that pop off in the comments. And I want to say, as a mom, again, both of us are not judging whatsoever, but when we
No.
are like mommy and we fix every single thing, we're so close with
Right.
our son, you're not. We want to raise young men who are confident, who make choices, and we want to raise young women in the same vein, who who question things and who feel a sense of self-esteem and confidence when they walk into a room. Not like, ooh, I'm gonna be, like you're with your boyfriend or your girlfriend and you're popping off on your parents' phone the whole time. That's just not gonna work. We want to raise, as we were saying at the beginning of the show, as hard as it is, the goal is to raise independent young adults. So yes, it
Mm-hmm.
hurts. And I was just with someone the other day. It's funny, I can't remember who, and they asked me how I liked being an empty nester, which I can't stand that term, but
We're
I
getting there. Yes.
yeah, that's a crappy ass term. But I remember the first thing that I had an expletive, like I blah blah love it. It's a great phase of your life because you are doing all these things now that listen, when you're a mom and you're working, whether you're working in or out of the home, it's 24/7 checking off boxes and checking off lists, and it's literally the never ending putting out fires. Do I love being the empty nester? Oh my Lord, it's such a fun chapter. But I understand, very scary and very daunting for a lot of moms. But ladies, we have to embrace this because now the relationship with our kids, it's only stronger and it's only better. But because of me having the ability to let go of needing to control everything, because that's going to get us in trouble and that's going to keep us feeling very, very lost when they start pulling
Empty.
away. And empty, the empty nesters. Worst term
Right.
ever.
And that's something I love that you frowned on it because I never quite got it. I know what it represents and what people use it for, but because I have always been such a literal child, teenager, young woman, and now grown lady, I don't use words that, like, you wouldn't find me using the word devil's advocate because I do nothing on behalf of the devil.
Right?
Just as an empty nester, because this is why, I guess this is why, because if you were rescuer, helper, fixer, didn't let your children think, then you will be empty because you let that be the only thing about you. So that when they're not there to take care and provide for anymore, now you feel empty. Never mind, you have a beautiful decorated home, you have a career. The only reason you got up every day, it was those kids. And this is why they say empty nester, but let's dig into it. I think not enough people prepare parents for that transition, but I feel like it's that mindset of what you've been talking about this entire episode. Yes, I get it. Parents spend 18 years preparing their children to leave, but they spend almost no time preparing themselves, right? What have you seen parents experience emotionally when that seasons arise, and how do you coach them for the quote unquote empty nest identity crisis?
Well, what I see is that they don't let go. They won't let go because that
Mm.
is their
Their
identity. Parents are very tied to the outcome of their children. It's really interesting, again, because of social media. So it's like if your child is doing really well, they're at college. We live in California. I live in California. You're in Arizona, but we live in climates where these kids can play sports all year long.
all
So
year round.
where a
Yeah.
lot of statistics say most kids won't go D1, blah, blah. Here they do. That's just the way
They
it is.
do.
So
That's only what it's about here. Like,
yeah, that's what it's about. Texas, Arizona, California, Florida, right? So these kids, they go off to school and the parents love to post about it, and then everyone's like, oh, her son, and he might even be going to the NFL. Like, it's just on and on and on. And so, again, with the social media, I think that there's this, like, parents tie that to, like, they feel this credit or something. So, therefore, if their child isn't successful, or maybe their kid went to community college, which I think is a great option, we are not all the same. We are not all programmed to go to high school, take 1,000 AP classes, go to the best of the best college. Like, there's such different paths. But in this society with social media, there seems to be only a very similar path. And if your kid isn't on that path, you're like withdrawing. You don't want to talk about it. You do everything to deflect because you feel like some sort of a failure. God forbid your kid says, I want to do 2 years at community so I can then transfer to a California school. So number one, we have to, going back to my job at Anthropology, you have to stop worrying about what anyone else is going to think or say about what you're doing. When I first got that job, I'll never forget it. Most of my friends called me and said, I am so jealous. Oh my gosh, I would love to do what you're doing. It sounds so fun. And I did have a few friends that were like, I was a little taken aback that you're working retail. And I remember thinking to myself, I've never worked retail. I've never even been a big shopper, to be honest with you. But how much fun is it to be in a retail store that you love? You're getting a discount. You're around all these young, amazing people. And you're like, this is a lot of fun. Had I worried about what other people were going to say about me in this area of, California, I would have never done the job. I would have been like, what are they going to say? What are they going to say at carpool? We cannot worry. We spend way too much time worrying about what other people say about us. We really do, way more than we should. We need to be living our lives and take all that. My dad used to call it smoke and blow it away, because that's not going to get us anywhere.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I can imagine a mom right now who's listening and her youngest child just left for college. The house is quiet. The calendar suddenly looks different. She wakes up wondering, who am I? Brandy, what would you say to her right now?
Well, I would say you are in such a beautiful time of your life, and now is the time where you need to look at you and look to do something that you've always wanted to do. And, we can't put all this pressure on ourselves and sit down and try and make a really big list of like, okay, what's everything I've always loved? And it doesn't work that way. But inherently, there's things that we enjoy. Like for me, for example, I was like, well, retail's always been fun. And I did this when my kids were still in high school because I saw that writing on the wall. So I was a couple of beats before where your example is. And I said to myself, I didn't overthink this. So you don't overthink it. See, that's the beauty about life. We can always change the channel. So at the time, I was like, retail sounds fun. I think I'm going to try it. I will never forget this ever. I wasn't a shopper. I had never done retail before. I went to the mall. I went in. I did an interview with there was 6 of us there, Who knows what I said? I don't know what I said. I get home a couple days later. They call me. They're like, we love you. You have the job. This is when you start. So I go in the first day to this job, and it's me and all these young girls. I forget my reading glasses, so I cannot see the app that I need to download, to get my schedule and all the things. And I was having a mini panic. Like, what am I doing? I shouldn't be doing this. I'm too old. I don't know how to use apps. And I'll never forget calling my husband. And he was like, well, if you don't like it, you can just leave. And what? No, I'm not going to leave before I even get this party started. So I'm giving a specific example, but what I want to say is don't be afraid to just try anything that has ever just popped into your mind. We don't want to do analysis paralysis, right? Like I could have thought about that for 2 years before I ever dipped my foot in the water. But at the end of the day, I was like, this could be fun. And guess what? I'm here 7 years later. It's so much fun, but if I hated it, if I tried it and I was like, oh, this is not for me, I would have tried something else. There's so much out there for us to try. It could be volunteering. I was like, I want to get paid again. I used to make money. And I'd done a ton of volunteering when my kids were in school. And I was like, no, I want to get paid, so I feel like I'm valued somewhat. And I just took a chance on anything. So we really have to remember at this phase of life, A, to stop worrying about what anyone's going to say about you, and B, try. So talk about building confidence, right? I went in and I was immediately promoted to become a stylist. And they're like, my God, the customers love you and people are thanking me every time I leave a shift. And I would walk out of there like, I'm getting paid for this? I'm getting paid and I'm having so much fun. What is going on? I would have never tried that in a million years if I didn't see the writing on the wall. I knew I didn't want to go back in a deep, deep business like I had been most of my life. I wanted to do something that would be enjoyable. And so I say sometimes at this stage of your life, realize that if you make your child the center of your world, you are also unintentionally putting guilt on them that they're going to feel badly. Say they have a break coming up, Thanksgiving, their first break, and they met a new roommate and they want to go home with the new roommate. They know that mom is home and Mom is just going to die if they don't come home. We don't want to do that to our kids.
Nope.
We want
Nope.
them to see us thriving.
Yes. Yes. I love that you said to this is a great time for you to go out and try whatever pops in your head because the only time that you had that shot when you were younger before you had those kiddos or even before you even got into a committed relationship, maybe you missed that window or maybe you did, but then you became a wife, then you became a mother. You had to no matter what, this level of sacrifice comes with bringing up children no matter what. You're going to stay in certain areas for school. So if your job says, "Oh, let's fly you to San Diego," you're like, I'm not going to pull Zach or Andrew out of school. He's in a great on a great team playing basketball. All this you can't make that move, right? But now that they're gone, what I'm loving that I hear you say, purpose doesn't retire when parenting changes. Sometimes it expands. Maybe motherhood wasn't the end of your purpose. Maybe it was training ground for what's next. Because here you are, Randy, no pun intended, what the world will call an empty nester. But ain't nothing empty by your nest, girl.
And don't say empty nester to me, sister.
Oh, you're not. That's what I said, the world, because there's nothing empty about your nest. You are filled up with so much real life, practical parenting and life solutions that women and young women can come to a place filled up that is just ready to pour in their glass and help them break through for their next level. And that, ladies and gentlemen listening, is what we're talking about. So, what I love about this episode and I love about my podcast because every guest that comes on this show is not talking about something they just learned. Yeah, you got coached and trained and mentored by Jay Shetty and certified by Jay Shetty. But what you're doing and what you're doing using his training to do is what you have lived and you know exactly what the heck you're talking about. So
Well, I'll tell
I'm
you
loving
something,
it.
because I hadn't really linked that for you, but had I not done the job at Anthro, I probably wouldn't have become the life coach. That's the whole
Wow.
thing. One led to the other. When I was at Anthro, loving it and constantly coaching people all the time, and people had talked to me about life coaching for years, and it just is something I never was interested in until I learned about Jay Shetty. But while I was there, it like that path then led me to the next path. And so I haven't let go of the retail path, but that's what's so interesting about it is, and I love to say we can change the channel because you might try something, anything, who knows what it is, and who knows what that can lead to. That, like, this is my purpose. Coaching, helping parents. I really, really want to see, like, to me, I would really encapsulate what I do by saying, in my brain, the old mindset of parenting is my child is uncomfortable. I want to swoop in and fix it. And I want the new mindset to be my child is uncomfortable. That is where the growth is. The pause is the parenting. So I really I look at this as a very big movement. I want the whole shift in parenting because otherwise we are really, really robbing our children today of dealing with
Yes.
adversity, of problem solving. I mean, it's a problem. As again, as stated in the statistics with all the stats on anxiety and everything else, but we're crippling them. And it is our Randy, how did we get here? We got here because of how we've been parenting. And once we can see that and we can admit that and just take our ego out of it, we can step back and start to look at this new paradigm shift of, okay, discomfort does not mean danger. Discomfort means growth.
Growth. I love that. Oh, I love that. That's so good. So good. So good. I love it. So let's talk about the parents' inner work because there is work to be done with everything we've talked about. And something I've noticed is that children don't just inherit our eye color, they inherit our mindsets as well. They inherit how we respond to stress, conflict, money, relationships, confidence, and even healing. So, if a parent wants to raise emotionally healthy children, where does that work actually begin for that parent?
that all stems from, to me, the most important thing is building trust with your child and having good communication. There is
Mm-hmm.
such a lack of communication today that it's almost mind boggling. And I'm not just talking about the mom that might call me because she thinks her daughter is experiencing one thing and then the daughter's experiencing another. It's just in general communication. We don't do it because we're all so busy. Everyone is so busy. I mean, when my kids were growing up, me, my husband, my kids, you're just like ships in the night. And, you're eating dinner. One is eating at 11 p.m., one is eating at 4 p.m., sports schedules, travel schedules. We just have to stop, and we might have to get back to a few traditional values. To me, one of the most important things is, even if at max you can have one family dinner a week, but our kids get our value systems from us. That's where they
Mm-hmm.
start. Now their value systems will change as they get older, and that's okay. That should happen. But when they're little and while they're growing up, they look at mom and dad and they look at, well, what are their values? What do they think is right and wrong? What is their moral code? Well, how do they learn that? They learn that by the things that we do, by the way that we talk to people, by the way that we interact, by the friends that we hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would say again, for my family, it was very hard to have one family dinner a week. We were kind of a big fail at that. I'm not going to lie. If I had anything to do over again, it would be to insist to never, ever say we can skip a practice, we can skip something, because, I mean, we would find family time together, but it is rare. It is so rare today because everybody is chasing. Everybody's just chasing, checking off the
Mm-hmm.
boxes because they all see their kids going to D1 schools and being professional athletes, and there's just very little time together. And the families that I know that insisted on that family time together, they are still very, very close. It's just so important to have that base from mom and dad, because that's where they get all that in the beginning. Like, what do they think is right from wrong? What is their moral code? Because for all of us, it looks a little bit different, but that's where
Mm-hmm.
they get it. They get it from us.
Mm-hmm. That's such a powerful reminder because children don't become what it is that we say. They often become what they repeatedly see from us. Let's talk a little bit. Let's imagine it's 20 years from now. Your children are adults. They're sitting around telling stories about you. What's one thing you hope every parent leaves behind that's has nothing to do with money?
It would have nothing to do with money. It would have to do completely with how I made them feel and how my husband made them feel. Because I think
Yeah.
what we can give our kids is such a sense of comfort and such a sense of, my door's always open and you can always come to me and you can always be honest with me. When we talk about our value system, honesty is for sure one of my top values. And
Mhm.
I've always raised my kids that way. And so, for better or for worse, sometimes I didn't want the honesty that I got. I'm not going to lie. Because then they're honest with
Uh-huh.
you, and you're like, I'm not going to punish you if you're honest. And then they're like, okay, I did X, Y, and Z. And then I'm like, oh, God, now what do I do? But, 20 years from now, when they're sitting there with their kids, I absolutely want them to talk about how we made them feel. And they felt nothing but
Yes.
love and nothing but support.
I love that because legacy isn't measured by what we leave people.
No way.
It's
I
measured
would have
by
never
what we
even gone to
leave
Marty.
in people. Yeah, what we leave in them is what
Yeah.
I believe legacy is truly is. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness, that has been such an amazing round. And now we're on to another segment that we call Flip the Script, Randy. You know, it's one of my favorite part, and this time we do it a little bit different for the end of this season 3. And so we do a rapid fire. So don't overthink. Just give me the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Just remember that I have a menopausal brain, so I sometimes forget my own name. I'm just giving you a disclaimer right now.
Okay, let's see. Give me your best shot. Hit me with your best shot, right?
Okay.
What's harder, raising toddlers or launching adults?
Oh, launching adults. Easy.
Hmm. One parenting myth that absolutely needs to disappear right now.
Parenting method. That fixing is helping, that fixing is love.
Oh, absolutely. Complete these sentences. A confident child is.
A child that is okay to fail because they know how to get back up.
Yes, a confident parent is.
A parent that is okay with discomfort and realizes that it's not danger and that they can watch their child be uncomfortable and watch them problem solve and figure it
I
out.
love it. I love that. What's one phrase parents should stop saying immediately to their children?
Mm. Now, this one I'm stumped. I don't know. What's something that we, because I would never say don't like, praise your kids, but I don't know. That's what I don't know. That one I don't know. What should we stop saying?
I guess it's "I'll fix it for you."
Like
Anything that falls in the realm of "I'll fix it for you."
I guess, but it's not like we say I fix it for you. We
No,
just fix it.
right?
We
No,
don't say
right.
it. We just do it. What are you kidding me?
Right, we don't even say it, right?
You know what I mean? I
Let's
guess
do
the
this
one
one.
thing. Okay, I got it. The one thing a parent should ever stop doing is trashing another child ever in front of
Ooh,
their kid, because a lot of parents are very quick to do that.
wow, that is so true. I love that. What's one phrase parents should say more often to their kids?
I love you. I'm here for you, and I will always support you.
I love that. Success without character is, or maybe let's think success without character or character without success. Which one?
Wait, say that again. Character,
Would you choose character without success or
character without
success without
success. Oh, absolutely, character all day.
Yeah. Yeah. One book
Okay,
every
but
parent
if
should
you have
read.
character, if you have character, you will have
You will be
success.
successful.
You
That's
will be
right. Exactly.
successful.
That's why I will take the character first and then we can build from there. What's
Yes.
one book every parent should read?
I really do love the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, because it really helps people have perspective on it's not all about you. So just stay in your lane, be happy. If you get the invite, be happy. If you don't worry about it. I really like that perspective a lot.
Me too. Morning person or night owl?
Morning, or early morning.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee 24/7.
If you weren't coaching, what would you probably be doing?
Oof. If I wasn't coaching, I mean, because I coach and I write and what would I be doing? You know what I'd be doing? I would just be playing pickleball 24 hours a day.
You did did you write the book called Pickleball Parenting?
Yeah, pickleball
I
parenting. So
can't
I guess
wait
if
to
I
read
wasn't
that.
coaching, it would be all pickleball all the time.
Yes. What's one lesson your children taught you that no certification ever could?
Just how important it is to be there for them, because they are like sponges and they look at every single thing that you do every single day. And when you're not a good person, they will reflect that. And that's a hard
Mm,
lesson as a parent to watch, because they get everything from you.
yeah. One word that defines resilience.
There's a word I'm thinking of, but because I'm menopausal, what's the word? Oh, grit.
I love that. And love is?
I mean, from Les Mis, to love another person is to see the face of God.
Oh, I love that so much. I haven't thought about that. Purpose is?
Purpose is your why,
Legacy is.
what you leave within them, what your kids will talk about when they talk about you when you're no longer here.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Look at you. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I know. It's well deserved. When you just realize how much you have in you and it comes out so quickly, that's how you know you're full. I'm going to step away from the microphone and the camera, and this is where you get to speak to our listeners and viewers. And I invite you to imagine someone listening today. Maybe she's sitting in her car after dropping off her teenager at practice. Maybe she's just exhausted, questioning herself, wondering if she's doing enough, wondering if she's getting this parenting thing right. What would you want her to remember after today's conversation?
Okay, I would say that you are probably doing everything right and you are an amazing mom. There's no right or wrong, there's no one way to do it. But everything I talk about is much easier said than done. So this is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy being a parent. And this phase of letting them go into adulthood. It involves a lot of tears in closets and bathrooms and everything else. But if they can be independent, then you've done something right. And just know that the relationship only gets bigger and better, and they bring more people into your life, and it gets richer. And I just want you to feel all that. So it's not easy, but you can do this.
It's not easy, but you can do this. Those are such powerful words. Randy, of course, you have got to tell us where to connect with you. What's your favorite way to connect? What do you have going on in Camp Randy Crawford? And how can we get involved?
So in Camp Randy, it's funny. My social media lately has really kind of popped off, and I love it because I have a conversation with people from all over the world, and I ask parenting questions. So I'm on Instagram and TikTok, and it's at Randy with an I, Randi Crawford Coaching, and I would love people to be part of that conversation because there's no, as I said, there's no right or wrong way to do it. And then if you go to my website at randycrawfordcoaching.com, you can book on Calendly if you ever want to coach or just want to talk. But I'd love people to get involved in the conversations online because I will in hopefully the foreseeable future have a book coming out called the Pickleball Parenting Playbook, which will just tell a lot of funny stories, very self-deprecating stories, and using pickleball metaphors to help you really step back and stop fixing everything for your kids.
That is going to be cool. I can't wait. And when you do, you have to come back and
For
share it
sure.
with us. Absolutely, 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 absolutely love it. Randy, thank you so much, not just for today's conversation, but for reminding us that love isn't measured by how tightly we hold on. Sometimes love is measured by how courageously we let go. It's to prepare them for life, to teach them courage, responsibility, resilience, integrity, faith, confidence, not because you removed every obstacle, but because you showed them they were capable of climbing over them and getting through the tough times. And here's something I want every parent listening to remember. One day, your children won't remember every lunch you pack, every ride you give, every assignment you help them with, but they will remember how you made them feel. Did you believe in them even when they doubted themselves? Did you trust them enough to let them grow? Did you remind them that failure wasn't final, but it was part of becoming? Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to raise children who need us forever. Because, hey, we aren't going to be here forever. The goal is to raise adults who no longer need us, yet still choose to call us, still choose to visit, still choose to seek our wisdom, not because they have to, but because the relationship was built on trust instead of control.
Thank you so much for having me. You so get it.
So passionate about this space. So this is my little part to contribute by having the opportunity to share your work and your what you've been building out already. I can't wait to have more conversations like this with you.
Thank you. Me too.
And to everyone listening around the world, thank you again for spending this time with us. This is a 2-part episode. So if you're listening to us here and you missed part 1, you can back right up. It's just about this one. If today's conversation challenged your thinking, encouraged your heart, or just reminded you of someone who needs to hear this message, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode, leave a comment, and go to Randy's Instagram. The link is right here in the description, wherever you're watching and listening to this, and get in the conversation because changing the world always begins by changing the way we think. And until next time, I am Alisa. Keep disrupting your own mindset because your next level of life will never be created by your current level of thinking and your comfort zone. God bless you, and I'll see you all on the next one of Mindset Mastery Moments. Bye now.
Bye.